Welcome! Today I would like to show you my Sansevieria trifasciata. I got it last spring as a very small plant. I got it when it only was that big. So this part of the plant was that I originally got, and all the scars here were on the leaves already when I got it. It was in a very tiny pot. It was in a pot that barely could be standing on its own because the plant was heavier than the soil in the pot. And then, because Sansevierias are potentially big plants, I thought my home wouldn't be such a good home for a plant that is big because I have a very small place and there is no place for big plants here. I left the plant outside to its own resources, but it turned out that it thrived on the conditions that were outside. It was not watered very often, but apparently often enough for it to grow. And at one point, somewhere in midsummer, there was a huge bulge in one side of the pot, and then I gave up. I just transplanted it into a bigger pot, and here it is. And that bulge actually was an underground stem that produced these two rosettes of leaves, because these are leaves and the stems are under the soil, are inside the pot. It actually grows a little bit like a strawberry plant, that there is a rosette and then there is a stem which produces another rosette, except strawberries have the stem on top of the soil, and the Sansevierias have it underground. Okay, so there are two new rosettes. The interesting thing is that the new leaves are much lighter in color than the old ones. Sansevierias became very popular lately, probably because NASA, the National Space Agency, released at one point, a few years ago, a list of plants that are effectively purifying the air, and Sansevieria was on top of that list. It has the ability to absorb formaldehyde and some other nasty chemicals that are filling modern homes and modern apartments. And Sansevierias are one of the most effective plants to keep the air inside healthy. I'm not sure whether this was the main reason why Sansevierias became so popular, but many varieties of this plant, Sansevieria trigona, were produced. This one has a very interesting pattern on its leaves, but there are variegated ones that have the edge white or yellow, and there are ones that have horizontal stripes or vertical stripes. So they come in different color variations and also different size of the leaves. And on top of the fact that there are different varieties of Sansevieria trigona, there are also different species of Sansevieria, which are, some of them are quite tiny, some of them have cylindrical leaves, and they are quite interesting plants. So I didn't want to get into Sansevierias because I was, first of all, as I said, I didn't want to have a big plant. But right now I'm happy I have it. Actually, I like it a lot. But the other thing is that there are so many Sansevierias, different varieties, different species, that I was afraid, and I still am, that I might fall into the trap of collecting them, and I really cannot afford it. I really don't have space for it. So far, so good. I'm happy with this one plant, but and I hope it will stay this way. Sansevieria is not really an exotic plant to me because my parents had it when I was a child. We had a huge specimen at home. It was growing in a pot which was the size of a bucket, and it was flowering from time to time. Very nice specimen. I don't really know what happened, that it disappeared from the house all of a sudden. We always had nice houseplants when I was a child. My parents, especially my mom, were very fond of houseplants. So my father was calling this plant, Sansevieria trigona, was calling it a sword plant. But right now it is the most common name for it is snake plant. So this plant is known as snake plant. But the sword is, I think, a more appropriate name for it, because snakes are cylindrical in shape, and the leaves here do have a shape of a sword, and they are also quite sharp. The tips of the leaves are quite sharp. Well, this is about it. This is about everything I would like to let you know about my Sansevieria. I hope that in summer I will be able to show you this plant that is overgrowing this pot, and then I will be in trouble because I will have to give it a bigger pot. But that's okay. I will find a spot for it somewhere. Thank you very much for watching my video. Have an amazing afternoon.